All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Salty Saturdays. I am your stream operator for the night, Wild9, and it's been a while. It's actually, I think, our first cast since the new season. So we've had a lot of holidays and all that. So we're back and on kind of on a late night, I guess, tonight, at least on the East Coast. With me, we got two matches today, one legacy, one hero. And on the caster desk, so to speak, today is Righteous Jammies and Jacques Keener. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Excited to commentate and watch some of these games.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Just hanging in there, uh, chilling, hoping that I can, I guess, prove myself in the caster seat.
I'm sure you'll do fine. Why don't you guys walk us through the first match?
First
Yeah,
match is a legacy match versus Bouncy Knight, uh, Bouncy Knight of the Vanished Venters, uh, and sorry, Chewbacca of the Hero Power Button Pressers. It This match is going to be important because right now the Vanished Venters are losing 7 to 9 points, and there are two matches to be finished for this set. But this Bouncy Knight v Chewbacca match will be very important for the result of their match.
yeah, definitely. As a member of the team, it's kind of just like very nerve wracking, but it's also kind of Bouncy Knight has to secure this win, or even maybe even go 2-3, but it's likely just has to be a win, or we kind of just get blown out.
Yeah, this is the do or die do or die spot for the Vanished Venters, and it leaves an open area for uh, it leaves a an open area for their deck selections, uh, where neither of them have brought or Bouncing Knight not bringing the almost meta defining Demon Hunter.
Yeah, and with Chu bringing Demon Hunter and Rogue, it's kind of just pick your poison of what you want to face. Um, I guess it kind of makes sense though that you're not bringing Demon Hunter because you're bringing Warrior in its place to counter Demon Hunter.
Yeah, you're with as it is with a conquest format. Uh, you are just looking to prevent them from winning, not even necessarily win with your decks need to win, but you need to make sure one of their deck always loses.
So
Yeah, exactly.
we do have the bans in, and so we have Chewbacca banning Bouncy Knight's Druid, and then Bouncy Knight banning the Rogue.
That
Oh,
is that makes sense for Bounty Knight to ban the Rogue. I'm a little confused by the Druid ban, but it also makes sense. Druid has been, I guess, a bit of a menace as of late.
I think the Druid ban is, uh, I like the Druid ban from Chewbacca because uh, I'm guessing Chewbacca realizes the warrior is a counter pick, but also wants to also realizes that the class is still warrior. The card quality is just not there to keep up, and basically anything Druid could or anything warrior could do, Chewbacca feels that Druid does better in terms of gaining armor, almost to a point that might be too much for. I'm guessing this is a Frost Death Knight. If I pull up the list.
Yeah, for sure. The I guess my worry is with the is leaving up Rogue is just very tough. Additionally, with Warrior, if it is a disruptive warrior that is control, it's just gonna be. I don't want to say luck because there's always chances, but if Warrior cues into Demon Hunter or even Death Knight, it's just kind of game lost if they are a disruption warrior.
Right. And the rogue band makes perfect sense for that. What warrior and many classes can't deal with is the infinite supply that rogue has through concoctions and through if this is a jackpot rogue can go forever, has the most value in the game. Uh, and probably if you split the deck in half, both decks, both halves of the deck would probably have more value than the next.
Yeah, yeah, of course. That's definitely the game plan of Thief Rogue and just outvaluing and outlasting until you wind up just killing them through tempo, basically. Um, and also it does make sense to ban Rogue as well from a Miracle Rogue standpoint, of course, because like Warrior would be the only potential right there, and maybe even Frost DK if it is Frost DK. But it's rough, So it makes sense to ban Rogue.
The match is okay. Yes, they are hopping into the match as well as we.
Okay.
My elements are frightful.
All right, we have Bounty Knight leading with Death Knight, and surprisingly, it is undead. Not
Uh,
necessarily
uh,
what we expected.
Triple unholy aggro, seeing that triple unholy plague grain, that will immediately reveal to Chewbacca what the deck is. And meanwhile, we have the evolved shaman on the other side with the buck pools coming down on turn one.
Yes, it's a Plague Grain is definitely a good card in the early game, of course, as that is intended to be. It's depending on the draws here, if you get the grain crates, it might just wind up being I don't want to say game over immediately, but it's definitely very tough for the shaman to bring back the tempo if they don't have any clears. If you do just draw constantly into your plague grain crates.
Uh, so I'm curious about how this matchup plays if they had like 100 games versus one another because uh, everything that shaman wants to do, it's going to be producing big threat like almost one at a time, and you want to prevent that by going faster as the Unholy Death Knight, but that's
Yeah,
not really what Unholy does. They're more of a swarm and really sticky, almost in like like a token druid sort of sense.
yeah. I'd like to think that mm, I'd say shaman might win like roughly 50%, slightly above that, but only very slightly above that. It's like if you get plagued grain and the shaman doesn't have a way to deal with it, it's just kind of game, you know. But again,
Stacking
that's a high roll thing, not very
stacking
consistent.
up all the buffs, farsighting into the Goldshire Knoll is going to help swing this board immediately with the Jailer coming out of the muck pool.
Yeah, for sure. Now we have to think about whether or not we play the Grave Strength here, because if they were to play it, they would have to have some kind of a clear in hand. Which while they do, it's kind of hard to like. I understand that it is not optimal, but it is definitely incentivized to get the burst from hand here.
I like this Tomb Guardians right here because even though the command of Neptulon is in hand, you can't get through all the taunts.
Yeah,
With the combination of Chisel, the Jailer on board, and the command of Neptulon, it's going to create a terrifying board on the other side. But it does let you swing in for 8 or 7. They decide to trade into the Searing Totem, which I think is the right call when these to make these zombies come in, come back and not have an answer on the other side.
yeah, I get you. Um, so now looking at Chewbacca's side here, I was, mm, I was more so hoping that with Command of Neptulon here, it's just obviously without information of the opponent's hand, it's hard to judge. But Command of Neptulon here is just, at least in my opinion, I guess always the play over the uh, Farsight. Granted,
Uh,
I
I,
don't know exactly what she was running, but
yeah, I guess
I'd say 99%
Chewbacca,
of the time.
because of the Tomb Guardians spending the corpses,
Mhm.
you don't get the damage, the full damage from Grave Strength here. So
Yeah,
you're
I don't
ooh,
know. I would be concerned that they would play Grave Strength anyways here if they had it,
mhm,
because even that it lets so much damage through to the point where I don't feel Shaman can recover from it.
yeah.
Like if they were to have a Grave Strength, which they do, it's just incredibly rough to recover if they wind up playing it.
Yeah,
Also,
you're gonna
uh,
need a primordial wave to like a depth charge because this Howling Blast is going to lock out the game. Oh, and just taking it straight to the face. Love that play.
yeah. Additionally, though, Grave Strength was just lethal there had Bounty Knight played it. They were at 4. There were 4 attackers on board. The one attack would have killed them.
That's right. Uh oh.
But it is fine because we still have just board control here, and we kind of just lock it out. We get through the taunts typically, unless Muck Pools winds up giving another taunt here, or a Lockawar, or that as a rusher. Oh, and we
Even
still
then,
win.
with the hero
Yeah.
power or the grave strength, there's a number of ways to find lethal here.
Oh, true.
Uh,
I didn't consider the Grave Strength.
yeah, even the grave strength, if it wasn't online, it would help get through. Uh,
Yeah.
Bouncing
Plus the
Knight, coming in with this Unholy Death Knight, and unpopular pick on the ladder meta, but it was exactly what they needed here.
yeah, for sure. Uh, Additionally, with the Possessed Fire top deck there, it was almost, I guess, locked out there. Just an early lead carrying into an incredible late game.
We saw the plague rains on one end up affecting the entire course of the game, having the corpse for the 3/4 at the start, and then allowing them to play the Tomb Guardians and then the Grave Strength at the end, all with corpses that basically ran over from the previous one.
Yeah, of course. That's yeah, yeah. Sorry.
No problem.
It's it makes sense that the plague grain definitely carried I'd say if there was like one card there, that would have done it. Definitely the like you said, the grave strength, not grave strength. Sorry, plagued grain.
My elements are
Okay.
frightful.
Oh, we have a thief rogue into the shaman. I I don't know how this matchup typically plays out either. I'd have to assume that the rogue winds up having to get a very strong early lead.
I see.
I am. Yeah, I imagine the rogue. A thief rogue, it's hard to have a strong early lead, especially since all the cheating that is done often from, uh, done from the evolved shaman. I think
Yeah,
it really has to come from, if they are running the concoction package, just getting Putricide on the board, removing the big threats with the deadly shot concoction, uh, and letting that generate more concoctions. Because this evolved shaman, it has like a number of threats, like a countable number of threats. They will run out at the end.
right. I hadn't considered the concoctions. As soon as I saw the Queen Ajara and the Kultith Yeti, I was I guess concerned that they weren't running it. Although there's still obviously a chance.
Bouncing Knight also bringing a Renafall version of Thief Rogue, uh, fallen a little bit out of favor on the ladder and maybe even in the data. Convincing this guy's gonna turn into a Sire Denathris. Another card to fall out of the meta, but when you can get him on turn 3, I would play him too.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really. I don't want to say it's game lost because it's definitely too early to decide, but it is definitely going to be a rough comeback if there is one here from Bouncy Knight.
The hand that Bouncy Knight has here is not going to help them win right now. I think they need to find all of this perjury, probably a freezing trap to
Yeah.
bounce the sire back.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything else that would remove like a minion this large off the board.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, but
I
this
mean,
gives free
Sire
reign for
Denathria. Yeah.
Chewbacca, yeah, to set up maybe something like the Wild Paw Cavern right now, and even as the board gets, as Bouncy Knight fights back for the board, it'll just become wider and wider for Chewbacca.
Yeah. I think going back to the secret, Vengeful Visage might, while it won't obviously win or I guess bounce to Denathrius, it'll at least help if gotten.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
about the only other one that comes to mind.
Also Reckoning. And isn't there a secret that sets
Oh,
it to a 1/1 when it attacks? Or is that wild?
true. There's the Paladin one
Okay, so
that
there's
does
a
that.
few outs at different discovery tiers as well. So Perjury
Yeah.
will offer one of
Multiple
each.
choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of each class. So maybe we'll get something. And
No.
Noble Sacrifice is it buys you
Yes.
a turn. And
Yeah.
turns are good. Turns are what you need right now. But that also
Yeah.
lets the Shadow Step lets the Queen of Shara come down on this turn online. Uh
I'd have to assume that it kind of has to at this point.
yeah, you're
Other
looking
than
for
other
the
than bouncing the
Gigafin
agent.
Hail Mary.
Yeah, exactly. Other than bouncing the agent, it's just got to be Wild Paw and Null clear board play Ajara. Hopefully
Either
hit. Yeah.
Gigafin, you know, Behemoth, doesn't clear, but you can make it clear.
Mhm.
Uh, what is a Neptulon?
Yeah.
There's
Neptune will do it.
wasn't that?
Well, I guess the Paladin one too, depending on if a board stays alive here. You
Yeah.
still need the 2 additional damage. There's a few options.
As is the case with the Colossals, uh, as long as you aren't playing the As long as you aren't playing the Druid one, you've generally done a good play.
Yeah.
Lug is also good here. It's only not
Oh,
good
for
into the
sure.
Primordial Wave, which is on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I'd even take a Kolak here, honestly, because you have the contraband stash in hand to replay it. Like, I don't think there's any bad options. There are best options, of course, though.
Yes.
Actually, no, I take that back. Ozma is definitely a bad option.
Ozumat is a good option if they weren't already at 10.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
it's too slow right now. I'm interested by this Coldtooth Yeti pick here also.
Abatoa doesn't do it.
That is not enough. And no Rogue Secret even baits, anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Taunt Totem ruining Chewbacca's chances here at the end
Yeah,
with
ruining the clear for
yeah,
Bouncy
bounce.
Knight.
Yeah. Uh,
And with that, we are 1-1.
Thanks from me.
That is obviously welcome from Chewbacca's standpoint. If I were Bouncy Knight, I'd be a little frustrated, of course, as there weren't many outs. You played to all of them, you didn't get it.
yeah. The the outs were very limited when 10-10 with Lifesteal came in on turn
Yeah,
3.
yeah, exactly.
They are picking their decks here. Chewbacca's gotten through the Shaman, needs to finish out with Death Knight and Demon Hunter, bringing Demon Hunter here, and we're guessing, yeah, quest line version, and because of the Feast of Souls in hand, or in the Mulligan, it's the modern Sinful Brand version. Relics package dropped. Sinful Brand, a card that punished you for going tall, and then Unleash Fell, a card that punished you for going wide, and Demon Hunter punishing you for playing the game.
Exactly. It's yeah, it's definitely gonna be rough for the rogue, uh, because it's just not much to be done, I guess, in the Demon Hunter matchup. If you're not playing your Miracle Rogues. Granted, of course, there are outs, just few and far between. It's either going to
Sounds
be a blowout on the Demon Hunter side or a blowout on the Rogue side.
yeah. Bouncy Knight finding or through the Maestra power, getting Warlock, which helps speed up the Wildpaw Null cost reduction. And, right now, these are the turns that Demon Hunter is essentially passing. So being able to life tap for cards is excellent here.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a welcome sight for Bouncy Knight here to be able to just accelerate their draws and,
No one.
of course,
Not even.
decrease the cost of their Nulls faster than they normally would.
Coming out
Null
of start.
currently costs one or either 0 or 1. After the trade, the tap,
Mhm.
turn 1. This is 3, so yeah, it should cost 0 now.
And Chewbacca having a bit of an annoying hand where they have all their fell burn. And that's not really what you want to draw. Uh, I could see them, using Chaos Strike just to cycle right now. And
Yeah,
just because, using card draw to get to your next card draw is a big point of this deck. Okay.
for sure. We definitely need to
Use,
get cards moving.
uses a lot of their burn just to clear up these 3/3s.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage off for Bouncy Knight to not have to worry about and for Shu to just wind up clearing the board.
I don't love that as a commitment.
Yeah.
Because these unleashed fells, they'll give you the life back at the end if you especially if you have both of them in hand. You will find your way to them.
Hmm.
And okay, is private is
I guess.
Bouncy Knight only running one secret or two copies of Perjury, but not running
Yeah.
the ones that draw cards?
Interesting. That is I'd have to say, I don't know if that's a mistake or if that's intentional, because you are running the private eyes. If it's a mistake, it's unfortunate in deck building, but if it's intentional, it's interesting to run private eyes for consistency, to always get the perjury out.
Well, I'm going to say maybe it wasn't fully intentional. Maybe not from like a deck building perspective. I mean, you know, in terms of the micro on that play, because they casted prep tooth to, I guess, try to uh,
Yeah,
try to get two secrets, but because they're only running one, they could have just played the private eye.
yeah,
I don't think I've ever played private eye without the combo, but it does just cast this one secret from your deck if you just play it alone.
yeah. And that's yeah, I can agree with you there. It's definitely a misplay on that one turn. It's obviously would have been better to save the prep and the wicked stab.
And right now, yeah, I love that play from Chewbacca. Uh, doesn't know what secrets on the other side. But with the combination of Sinful Brand, the War Band, and Coordinated Strike, going face is all you need to do to potentially win this game if uh, a big Colossus comes down with a large health bar.
Yeah, for sure. But Ghastly Gravedigger here is a pretty nasty top deck. I I don't like that Psylag here. I don't like playing it.
I
Like you get the chip damage in, but you're kind of sacrificing it, you know?
so I think I like the Xylag here because you've already seen one Unleash Fell in terms of Bouncy Knight. We can see Chewbacca's hand, but you've
Yeah.
already seen one Unleash Fell. Uh, it's only become easier for them to clear it later on, and we don't, Bouncy Knight
True.
doesn't know how much burn is truly in Chewbacca's hand. I have not begun
Yeah.
to count. That is 12 from the Sinful Brand plus um 8 from the Warband to face, so that's 23 off from lethal. So Bouncy Knight is going to have to find a way to clear here. With the discovering and the getting the Silver Moon Arcanist, uh,
Yeah.
and just healing. Playing the Reno.
Yeah.
It's turn 6. Your Reno is online, and by your Reno I mean your Unleashed Fell.
Yeah, just a 4-mana Reno. A clear
Mhm.
board too, you know?
Yeah, that deals damage.
But the explosive trap right there kinda messes with that play.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't. I have never seen that interaction before. I thought it makes a lot of sense, but Silver Moon Arcanist, because it has the battle cry, your spells can't target this turn. I just assumed that was also like the spell damage was also a part of that. But
Gotcha.
no, no, Bouncing Knight with the one perjury into explosive is going to finish out this game, beating the Demon Hunter.
Yep, we are now 2-1 Bouncy Knight into Chewbacca. So what's left for Bouncy Knight is the Death Knight.
As the warrior.
And, oh, it's the Warrior. My
Yeah.
bad. Oh yeah, he won game 1 with the Death Knight.
Yes.
Okay, so Warrior into. It depends. So this could go either one of two ways. If it's Disruption Warrior, odds are it winds up getting at least one game. If it's like a regular Control Warrior that you might see on ladder, I don't know
Maybe
how
an
it's gonna play out.
OTK version with
Yeah.
like to the front and I'll be real, I don't know the card that's like if you gain 15 armor, he gets
Oh,
charge.
Galvangar.
Oh, it's
And it
Enraged
is
Warrior
none of
though.
the above.
Enraged Warrior, a very interesting deck, a deck that's potentially good, but nobody wants to play to test it out. Uh,
Yeah. Um, I'd have to say, kind of have to hope for a blowout here into the Demon Hunter,
this
which
is
honestly, good start so far for the hand. But yeah, I honestly hadn't even considered that it could be Enraged Warrior.
yeah, and I'm not sure if that's our fault or Blizzard's, but just Enraged Warrior not a popular archetype, uh, and for the I see it as the reason uh it's not loved as once it loses board, it it can't come
There's no
back.
comeback. Yeah.
It's it's not like aggro druid that plays uh you know
Waves.
composting
Yeah.
or board buffs that like makes your board stickier. Yeah, there's some buffs from these enraged warrior, but it's basically after around turn 5 6 you're like, okay, well, here are the stats I can play and I hope it's enough.
Yeah, exactly. It's just throw up your hand onto board and then hope it sticks well enough for you to have lethal next turn,
Yeah,
which is a bit upsetting, but it's like there's not much to be done about it from our viewpoint.
I like that headshot play from Chewbacca, uh, using the hero power, but actually deciding to not swing into the face, uh, you know, because the hero being damaged for the warrior, does
Yeah.
change, for Light of the Phoenix, for example.
Yes.
Light of the Phoenix, if you don't know, it's the 4 mana draw to cost 1 less for each damage friendly character. So if the warrior's face is damaged, it turns into the Arcane Intellect with upside. But because that hero power did not go face, now we just, if it is something that they draw, they're now, it's going to be a little bit more dead without their own activators.
Yeah. And an interesting play from Chewbacca using a sinful brand on their anima extractor to try and prevent some damage from being dealt to it. Even then though, it's just we still go for it.
A 3/6 now, and I like the more I'm seeing this enrage warrior, the more I'm liking it into questline demon hunter because if you have the anima extractor, this deck only deals damage through 1 or 2 damage increments, making these anima extractors really stack up. That's a 5/9 anima extractor in hand, and that's a 4/3 weapons expert.
Yep, it'd definitely be nice to see the weapons expert get buffed a little more, of course, but you do what you gotta do. If you have to play it here, you do, but I honestly think that I guess the play here is Anima Extractor into the Crazed Wedge. And we'll face Smork.
Yeah, it's not turn 6 yet. So any damage that you do here can soon be erased. They've discovered a minion off the soul, and turn 6 is the life seal breaking point. So I would assume you're looking for the way to the face, but it's gonna hold back a little bit in hero power here.
Gotcha.
Is
Yep.
presenting lethal.
Yeah, if there's not a clear here, it's game. Well, there is a bit of a clear here, but it's definitely, I guess, unfortunate for Shu. Because if they do end up clearing some of their minions off, it's just raised wretched that they don't know that they have, and if they can find a way to damage it, it's just game.
For those who don't know, the weapons expert is looking to pull the imbued axe. It is a 3 mana 2/3 weapon, with an infuse of 3 that you won't see, but it buffs up all your uh, damaged minions by +1/+2 when you swing. So it is it is the what you're looking for here off this weapons expert. Uh, but it's probably going to be too slow here.
even then, I still think you just play the weapons expert for some amount of tempo. Get something good on board. Definitely better
And
than any of the other options, I think, here.
Chewbacca with a line that I'm I'm not so sure about giving up their Unleash Fell and their Silver Moon Arcanist a turn before the lifesteal can come in. Uh, now it makes it so any bit of there's no more lifesteal for this Demon Hunter until it can find another Unleash Fell,
Yeah.
and so your all damage is permanent until then.
Yeah. You have to kind of rely on your card draw top decks. And it's just without your Silver Moon Arcanist anymore, it's just very unfortunate, not really able to, I guess, recover as well as you'd like. And of course, you don't ever want to trade into the Weapons Expert because we have Imbued Axe in hand. But they don't know that we have Praise Wretch, so
I
it's
mean,
game.
even without the damage weapons expert, we had the depths on board. We had the axe in hand that just
Oh, you're right.
we
Sorry.
had a lot of damage with none of the cards that were unknown to Chewbacca. But this will
Yeah,
take us to a game 5. Oh wait, no, that was match
that was.
point.
Yep,
I
that was match.
apologize. Uh,
Yeah, I honestly I hadn't counted the sorry, I hadn't counted the location on board for whatever reason. I think I was just solely focusing on it with the wretch. Uh, but yeah,
I
with
I don't
known
blame you.
information, it was definitely lethal.
I don't blame you. And Rage Warrior is not a common sight in any format. So, but that was our first match. Chewbacca of the Hero Power Button Pressers, losing 3-1 to Bouncy Knight of the Vanish Venters. Bouncy Knight needing that win to help. I believe that ties up, or now I believe the Vanish Venters are up 1 point now.
Yeah,
As their final match will be played. I'm guessing tomorrow.
yeah. I'm pretty sure we're up 1 point as well here. So yeah, it was definitely a good match from both ends. Uh, just I guess unfortunate, for Shu.
Yeah, so we actually are not able to do an interview because I told you guys a little bit beforehand, but Bouncy Knight had a PC crash right beforehand. And so he's like reinstalling Windows apparently. And so he was actually playing that game from his phone. So played very well.
Well, good job for Bouncy Knight to get past the distractions to bring this interesting lineup of a Demon Hunter list lineup and a Thief Rogue that is both running 40 cards and also only one secret. Very interested on what that full deck list is, but good job from Bouncy Knight nonetheless.
Yep, for sure. It's definitely I guess better to have an opportunity now for Vanished Venters. Nice to have definitely nice to have him clutch it out for the team, giving us another chance at the win for the week.
Yeah, so we do have a little bit of time. I don't know if you want to. I don't know if there's any other thoughts from that match. I was kind of thinking about the Warrior Bring in particular and kind of like interested, I guess. Like just because how do you think it's like a real thing that there are some like I saw Always Just in Time this week, for example, and Hero brought a warrior like just because you can also flex, right? It's the aggro version or the disruption version, which are the two ends of the spectrum, right? In terms of like this class.
Yeah, I feel like it's more, I guess, apt in a last year standing setting, like it, especially in Rage Warrior. You can easily, when given the opportunity, just blow out games easy with your Rage Warrior. But with Control, where it's more of a comeback, it's more apt your opponents are if you get a lead, it's easier to make a comeback with a control warrior. So, but it does feel like it fits better in a last hero standing than a conquest.
I like the Warrior Brain from, I believe it was the Winter Finals before the World Championship. This different meta, I understand, and it was during the Death Knight, Knights of Frozen Throne was in Standard, with animated Berserker was notably in Rage Warrior, but their uh Habu Gabu brought it and made it to, or be was the runner up of that tournament. He said, he loved the warrior pick specifically because it was looking like a more like aggressive meta, and it's the best like aggressive deck that beats other aggressive decks. And
Yeah,
I really like that idea, especially since it is a fast burning burn heavy meta, and having minions that stick and get buffed and are really hard to handle is very valuable for when you're facing off stuff against maybe aggro mage, which maybe they won't be able to clear with the death. I'm gonna say death spite, but I know that's wrong.
yeah, for sure. It's definitely rough to clear against. Sorry for Enrage Warrior. It's especially in the aggro matchups, or I want to say even just anything board based. It's just very rough opposing the Enrage Warrior.
All right. We can probably start setting up. We do need a little bit of time just because we're very early. But Wally is on his way to. It should be actually not that long from now, probably another 5 minutes or so. So we might as well start setting up the next match.
All right. I'll leave this one off. We have abusing PR management against the cult with Geranium Battle on APM and Swelly underneath the cult. Geranium bringing Death Knight, Demon Hunter, Hunter, and Rogue, where Swelly is bringing Hunter, Mage, Paladin, and Shaman. Um, we haven't really seen, at least I haven't seen too many Paladins as of late on ladder. I have to wonder what the thought process is behind that. Bringing it. Uh, I guess
I think it's
you kind
okay.
of,
Like
yeah.
I played pro this week against Neji Boston. He has been bringing Pally, I think the last 3 weeks or something, at least last week,
Okay.
and I think it's reasonable. It's predictable, like the curve, right? But it is a very aggressive. It kind of puts a clock on things if you get order in the court and the right time. And so I do think the deck is just it's good. Um, I guess you're right in the last hero standing format, right? But maybe it's kind of like your aggro deck that you kind of bring. So I think it could have a role here. And I guess in theory, if you could flex to a control pally, although that's more of a niche role, right? Like it's not being played as much right now, or it's not one of the better control options out of all the control decks out there.
Yeah. Um, and I also have to wonder. I don't know, just this lineup altogether, com- comparatively, like between Geranium and Swelly. I'm not trying to knock Swelly here, but it seems less cohesive. Not knowing the decks, of course, to bring these classes compared to Uranium, where he's bringing Hunter Rogue, I mean Demon Hunter Rogue, top two in the meta, as well as Death Knight Hunter. Hunter being, I want to say, one of the runner ups, but I don't know. It feels like, obviously, not knowing anything about Swelly's decks. I don't know. I can't help but to think Geranium is in the lead here just from a on paper standpoint.
Yeah, I think Shaman's a little underrated though, to be honest. Like it does just generally well against everything for the most part, really hard to counter. Um I do think Shaman has more game than is being played, just no one wants to play Shaman. But
Right.
and then
Yeah,
especially in this beta. Yeah, go ahead.
it's one
Yeah.
of those decks that wins on its own without your agency. And that's not decks that are generally favored in, top player, top legend, areas. So to bring it here in a conquest format. Uh, there is piloting decisions but at the end of the day, when you evolve that null, you're hoping for something big.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I honestly think just to if I were Geranium here, I would probably ban Shaman just to get it out of the way. Guarantee. Hey, I don't want to get blown out RNG. I want to be able to, you know, have control in a game, even if I don't want to lose a game. You know, if I can help it. And Shaman, you can't help it. Whereas
Banning
with
it out
the
for the
others,
mental.
yeah. But it's just I feel Shaman is just the right ban here because they're not bringing Rogue or Demon Hunter.
I like this might be a little controversial. I like the mage ban here because mage is good at freezing your face, and uh, I'm looking at the decks that I'm guessing what the decks that Dranium Battle has brought here. We see a hunter, which if I'm guessing that's Shock Spirit Hunter. It could just be normal Beast Hunter, but if the hunter is coming here with Shock Spinner, getting your face frozen for even 2 turns is between it really slows down if you're winning in the next 2 turns or the next 4 turns. Uh, and against
Yeah,
something like Aggro Mage, that is a huge difference. Death Knight also a weapon heavy class if they're going the more meta pick of Frost Death Knight. Demon Hunter doesn't need the face swings every turn, but there are a few crucial times that you need to Chaos Strike into something.
yeah. I can definitely see the Hunter being I guess uh countered by the Mage. But honestly I agree with you on Demon Hunter. It doesn't necessarily need to swing anytime. Rogue is definitely not a swing class. Death Knight kind of up in the air, like you said, depending on runes and stuff. I don't know. It seems not as cohesive as one would hope.
Uh, the Mage could also, I brought up Aggro Mage, the Mage could also be uh, Big Spell Mage. Big Spell Mage
At,
made big
Mhm.
waves maybe a week ago.
Yeah,
Before it was right after nerfs were like Big Spell Mage didn't get touched. Let's jam this, and then it was discovered it's like, oh wait, Miracle Rogue and Quest Demon Hunter are still the best decks. But in
right.
that little gap there, Big Spell Mage was extremely powerful, and if you don't have to, face one of those decks, and you eventually get past, one of them, because I assume the Demon Hunter and the Rogue are going to get a win. That now you have, the best next deck up with this Big Spell Mage.
Right. If it's Big Swell Mage, that does definitely add to the add to Swelly's favor. With Aggro Mage, I can't see it.
I like, yeah, I like personally either the Shaman or the Mage ban from Geranium Battle here. But one thing that you want to do if you're Swelly is play that Paladin last. You want to get the wins on the other 2 classes. I don't think the Paladin is going to be banned out, and I assume this Paladin is going to be, the aggro version, whether it's pure Paladin or just an aggro Paladin. It's going to be dealing damage to your own face, which just loses to all this burn in the meta. It's a
Yeah.
really good deck at sticking. Problem is you're at 18 health when you're done sticking, and then they swing it back on you.
Do you think that Swelly bans the rogue here? Is it that simple?
Uh, I like
Honestly,
the Rogue
I'd have to
ban
say
because
Demon Hunter.
I like the Rogue ban because Rogue is Demon Hunter. You know what you're going to face. There is one Demon Hunter deck with slight variations. Rogue, it could be Thief Rogue, it could be a big Thief Rogue, it could be Miracle, it could be like a more value heavy Miracle, or it could keep the Draka in. There's just so many different options with Rogue that it's like ladder right now. It almost becomes draining, dealing with what rogue am I doing, because they run 15 of the same cards, and oh, here's the ones that break me.
What if it's a well? Also back to the paladin thing. Like I was thinking that some of the Q order stuff. Sometimes in hero, if you think that there's a deck, definitely seen like one seeds do this too. There's a deck that a class that kind of like has no role and no way to win. Maybe they're assuming that some class was going to show up and that didn't show up. You just
Mm.
run something a little bit weird, but and then you run it out first to try to steal a win somewhere. So I don't know. Like that's one possible strategy. If it is pure pally, then yeah, you could wait till it lasts. You could also just play it first, like if it has no counter roll, and then just see if you steal a win somehow, right? But if it's something off the meta a little bit, like it could have a role, I think, like something that's a control pally or something that people wouldn't expect, that where you're running some tech cards, for example, that help with some of these matchups, right? Like healing, for example.
Healing, there's that 1 mana summon like a 5/5 dragon, like mana thirst 7. That's like Discover a Dragon. There's very strong tempo plays from the Paladin. Problem is, their tempo plays don't hit face when their face is dead right now. Uh, in the meta.
Okay, we should be getting the bans in quite soon.
Okay.
Then we can kind of move from there. They're getting set. It's still technically 10 minutes before their agreed upon time, right? So
Yeah.
but yeah. I guess we can talk some hero strategy in general. Like, uh, is it as simple? Like, one of the questions I guess I have is with Demon Hunter, and we had this discussion a little bit with some people on my team, but like, Demon Hunter is obviously one of the top decks in the meta, but one of the reasons why it's one of the top decks in the meta, especially on the ladder meta, is because it's decent/good against Rogue, right? But if you're planning on banning Rogue anyway, it's still a decent deck, certainly in a legacy format. But I guess my question would be like, what do you see Demon Hunter's role in a last hero standing format? If let's say you're going into it saying I'm going to ban Rogue.
Yeah, I'd have to say I see Demon Hunter as a potential sweeper or as a closer. Like it can take games back to back to back. And it can also have the potential to close out a game if you really need it. So like it has those two roles in Last Hero Standing where you can either save it till last, you can play it first. If you play it first, you're really hoping to get at least 2 wins.
Yeah, with in Demon Hunter versus other fast decks, it sometimes just has a tendency to be like, oh, I drew all the burn with no backing to it, so now I'm dead because I just bricked. Combo decks brick sometimes, and you just don't find what you need. So being running it in 3 games could be very risky.
Yeah. I'd
And I
have
could
to
almost
say
see it as like a counter pick. It says like, oh, they're stuck on like Hunter. Now I'm going to pull this out.
Okay,
yeah, but
sorry, we
I
do
want to
have the
say
bans in.
Mhm.
It was Rogue banned by Swelly, but Geranium did end up banning the Mage.
okay. But
Okay.
yeah, I want to say, in the words of Geranium, uh, if you don't draw the good card, it's a skill issue. It's just,
PSA or PSI.
yeah, it's just Demon Hunter. You gotta go and do it. If you sweep, you sweep. If you don't, you don't. Or rather,
Yeah,
if you don't, it's a skill issue.
yeah.
I expect nothing less from Geranium than to sweep with Demon Hunter if he leads with it.
Uh, and leaving the I like Geranium coming out here with the Demon Hunter. Or maybe holding it until we see Swelly Shaman. Because I imagine having those big critters out from these evolves on the knolls and stuff, is just absolutely delightful for Sinful Brand. Uh, so maybe you do wait till it's like, okay, I'm going to play a generally good deck, maybe Hunter, maybe uh, maybe Death Knight, and then as soon as you see like, oh, this is my great matchup, get that guaranteed win, and then try to sweep.
Yeah. Well, we do see Geranium leading with the Demon Hunter, and we see Swelly leading with Hunter. So it it could be a bit rough, I guess, for the Demon Hunter here, depending on if Swelly winds up getting just the weapons that they need, the ability to copy, as Spitter Hunter typically does, and whether or not Geranium has a chance to stabilize with their Unleash Fel. Because I honestly don't see Sinful Brand really doing it. They're, I guess, yeah, Hunter doesn't really build tall bodies, they go wide.
Yeah, which something like Unleash Fel is especially useful, but this Trogon one before the quest line is even out it's gonna slow down natural or Geranium battle by a turn,
Eh,
and that that is going to be I think almost unimportant. Trog is better when the demon hunter has something to do, and that is not the case right now. They're just these turns they normally pass anyway.
yeah, I don't know. I want to say with the top deck of Need for Greed and the Sigil in hand, it's very up in the air from my point of view whether or not we play Quest. Like even into the Trog.
I see. I don't know. Splitting the trogs is like it's fine once, but then you're saying like, oh, I'm going to cast like more spells, and then two becomes four, and that's scary.
Yeah.
That's a lot of chip damage that you're banking on like I'll be able to heal this out later,
Yeah.
but you have to get to later. And taking 4 a turn, taking 7 a turn, if you
Yeah.
keep on casting spells, it's
It can. Yeah.
mm,
It can definitely be rough. Have if you do wind up playing more spells into it. I don't know. I was definitely wrong. You know.
it is fine. Here we have a slow and most importantly a non-weapon start here from Swelly. No candle shot, no weapon even here off the wild spirits.
Yeah.
So going to have to win a more traditional way, because they're not ramping up, and Dranium Battle is definitely ramping up.
Yeah, but I don't know. Tavish is definitely an important draw and keep in this matchup. So it's, I guess, if I were in the shoes of Swelly, I would definitely prefer to wind up getting it just no weapons and a Tavish over a few weapons and no Tavish.
Mhm.
In
Yeah,
the ideal scenario, of course, you do get weapons and Tavish.
yeah, the Tavish, very important because you can find these very disruptive secrets. And here we have first interesting decision, and we're still running Barrock in the Shock Spitter deck, a card that has fallen to the wayside of just running a second battle ram in that spot, but we still have the Barrock Kodobane here, and it will not it will not draw a 1 mana spell, I'm guessing, because tracking is the only one ran, correct? Normally?
Typically, yeah. There are a few, I guess, outliers where you do
Hmm.
wind up running like Urkin Spines and the Ricochet shot, but I don't expect that.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit closer to like the day one like Shockspear
Yeah,
deck where you're still fitting in like the arcane package, and then before you're
yeah,
like, oh, maybe I should just put Useful Brewmaster in.
I grew
Uh,
yeah,
Useful Brewmaster, one of those cards that's when it's in your deck, there's something wrong with the game. It's like, oh, yeah, it's Ben Brode has been quoted in the past as like during his time on Hearthstone, what was most like design limiting cards in the game, and it was Stone Tusk Boar was his answer.
Yeah,
Where he's like, if Stone Tusk Boar is seeing play, something is up.
yeah. I'm liking this play from Geranium, getting 12 burst face.
Yeah, immediately cashing in on that damage. You know, Geranium doesn't know that the Barrock is right around the corner, but in Geranium's eyes, this is the largest minion that you're probably going to see out of the Hunter, and Hunter damage is permanent. There's 5 armor that you can get from Tavish, and that is really it.
Yeah.
Unless Astalor can also produce 5.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Honestly,
But
though, even with the Barak, I don't think it's, I guess, more ideal to clear
yeah,
the Barak over the taunt. Like, of course, you get one less damage repetitive, but it's
I
just,
grow
I don't know. It doesn't seem right to me, at least.
here we're going to, I believe, see the Feast of Souls after these trade in.
Yup. Drawing 3 for 1 mana. Quote
Uh, the
unquote.
ba-
Well, asterisk.
the baddie guest right now doing a good job of protecting against this Fell Barrage. Being, it won't, like the Death Rattle won't trigger between the Fell Barrage activations. But it, just being a sticky body there, it's almost like the new Druid one drop. It's just like something that eventually you gotta get through, and it's gonna take a little bit.
Yeah. I'm kind of confused as to what Geranium is contemplating here. Yeah, I'm about to say it's kind of just. I get there is the potential to push 5 face, but I'd rather I'd rather clear 3 repetitive than push 5 face.
Maybe the idea of thinking they'll just clear with like some AoE or Setheno, so it doesn't have to take the damage.
Yeah,
Uh, Especially since with that predation in hand, these 0 cost bound souls, there's a lot of burn in hand right now.
yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
and this baddie guest is also gonna eat up Setheno strikes, so
Yeah, I still think we would wind up playing Setheno
yeah.
here, anyways, though, right? Well, depending on top decks, but like, it's probably just Setheno.
The Conjured Arrow on their
is it
own,
even possible?
thinking they need to get deeper in the deck, trying to basically race this Demon Hunter. But that might have, you know, I don't
Very
think they're
limited.
dead on this turn. I could be wrong.
No.
Counting the damage right now. Uh, are they dead on this turn?
Uh, oh, they have
That's double
oh
Fell Barrage.
6-3. No, they're not. No, they are. They are.
Oh my gosh. Well, only the Tavish could have saved them there.
Yeah.
Uh, or maybe, not doing their own shot on that. Uh, it's 3 damage to spare.
Yep. That is Dranium taking it 1-0 so far. Next game, of course, continuing with the Demon Hunter. And then we have to see what Swelly brings out of the Mage and Shaman. Oh, wait, no, Paladin and Shaman, sorry. I, I have to think it's probably going to be the Paladin because like, of course, you get all the burst, but you have Divine Shields. Nope, it's the Shaman.
Uh,
The
okay.
earth itself
Maybe
is my
feels like
ally.
the
This ends
the
now.
Paladin was not a good bring into like the decks that Swelly assumes is on the other side. So is
Yeah.
just trying to avoid it like the plague right now. Try to keep something like like this going on. Try to keep a more standard meta deck.
Yeah, something with more potential.
Job done.
And the Sinful Brand, was that a keep?
We
Or
can
is that
find
just
out.
ended up in the hands?
We wound up in the mulligan. I think we dropped Need for Greed and
Oh,
what?
okay. Alright, my spectator was a little delayed then, so.
Yeah,
Sinful
we dropped
Brand,
a Need for Greed, I think, somewhere, but
okay.
I don't remember exactly what it was dropped for. Like if it was dropped for the brand or if it was dropped for Fel Barrage. Or even Eldrachi. Although we do have double brand now, it's definitely a. I guess it's gonna be very rough if Shaman can't get ahead on board here because they do have the Bloodlust in hand. But if they can't get ahead on board here, it's just incredibly rough because once you wind up building something tall like a Glug, it's just Sinful Brand and OTK.
Right now has no way to produce a bunch of rushers, produce a bunch of critters, but there's 4 different cards that can do just that in the deck, and a number of ways to find them.
Yeah, it'll definitely come with time.
Looking to maybe coin out the prescience, apologize, but just going to use the Farsight on curve, hoping to hit something important. Primordial Wave might be, you know, 0-mana Primordial Wave. It can get the Sinful Brand debuff off one of your minions if they don't, go in on it immediately. But it's not going to be all too useful in this matchup. Demon Hunter
Yeah.
does a lot from hand and very little on board.
Yeah, definitely. It's not ideal for Sully to pick up the Primordial Rave here. Geranium getting in 3 chip damage to face with their Ultrachi Warblades and Hero Power. Not actually, I do like that. Now that we have 2 brands on hand. I kind of like that just to get the chip damage in.
9 cards in hand, has to think about, if they can draw the 2 minions, what are they going to dump?
Yeah.
Maybe just the coin, but the coin, maybe the wave.
Well, it's only 9 in hand. It's not too big of a deal yet.
Well, I mean, if they draw 2
Oh,
of the proceeds.
got you. Sorry, I was
Okay.
confused.
I like that play because the 1 overload next turn will, allow you to prescience with, just the amount of mana you have. It'll be pretty simple. Adds a lot of pressure without adding too great of Sinful Brand targets. But here we have Dradium drawing a lot of burn, which is just a lot of this deck. Probably, maybe Chaos Strike down one of these with the last hit of the weapon.
Yeah, I think that's probably just it here. Is just Chaos Strike, see what we get,
I grow
and then, like you
impatient.
said, Hero Power. Trade if it's not anything important. If we do wind up Hero Powering, uh, it just full heal back up from when we trade. Don't really know what Geranium has here to contemplate. It's either take 10 face or you take 5 face.
Just likes to think out their options. What are they planning to do next turn? And with that Warband, I think you just swing this 4 to the face. You with the double Sinful Brand plus the Warband next turn, I think you just look for lethal.
Yeah. So we have making sure it's 4, they get to 12, and then 2, 4, 4. Yeah, it's definitely lethal.
Mhm.
We have what is it, like 20 from hand? If we can wind up getting through one of the water revenants. If not, it's just too soon. Yeah, it's still lethal anyways. Now it's definitely gonna be lethal. Yeah.
Yeah, the taunts were going to protect the rushers from getting in, but
Even then, it would have still been lethal though, right? Because you get the 4 face.
oh yeah, I guess you can just simple brand on like a rusher, uh, or on one of the taunts, but
Yeah.
it's so extremely overkill.
Yeah.
Had
Duranium up 2-0 now.
had an extra 7.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
or 8. Uh, yeah, and now it has to roll out the paladin here. And it is, we're going to see the paladin. It's going to get some early pressure.
This
Uh,
ends
and,
now.
or that's what it's looking to do.
Mhm.
And, maybe even have some big payoff with buffing them off. But it is going to be dangerous.
Yeah, like if they come off board once, it's just kind of over, right?
I don't. I think it's over long. I think it's over while they're still on board. I think it's just going to be simple brands, or it's just going to be like just burn over the top, with Lady Satheno or something.
Yeah.
I don't think you ever have to deal with their board. And even if you have to, you just drop Unleash Fell on them.
Yeah. Gotcha. That does make sense.
Yeah. This. Okay.
Definitely, definitely unfortunate for Swelly here to have to resort to the Paladin.
The bridge, a card that's probably going to be useful in this matchup. The lifesteal, while it's only one, for that one turn. Uh, as we've seen by Dranium's game plan, they're going to ignore the board often and, get in their chip damage when they want it. And so being able to lifesteal some of it back up changes the counting amounts that Dranium is planning for by a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Just ability to stabilize somewhat is definitely welcome.
Need a bit more spice over here.
Interesting. For Kel'Thuzad is being run. I don't think I've really seen that much in at least not the latter versions. It is 2 mana deal 5, but it's an interesting bring.
Yeah, it is. The most important part of it is that it's a non-sticky buff. It doesn't give Divine Shield. It doesn't give health.
Yeah.
So it is strictly there to deal Mind Blast damage. In a separate amount. And it might be what they need here with, maybe a whole, like getting a minion to stick and using Hold the Bridge plus, for Kel'Thuzad, to like get a big lifesteal swing back. But, right now they're off board, and now the Demon Hunter gets to play whatever cards they want to play.
Yeah.
The Bannerman just drawing, Blood Matriarch, which is going to make these Silverhand recruits sticky, but I'm not sure it will be enough.
Yeah, I don't think it'll matter much, honestly, to give them the Divine Shield now. Now that they, well, looking at the hand at least, just definitely rough.
Yeah. Right now can create some, minions with Divine Shield on the board. Uh, maybe wants to, Bannerman instead to make it a much bigger swing turn.
Yeah. I'd have to say that it's Banana Man. Sorry, Banner Man. That was not intentional.
Ors in the court, and now with the Blood of the Matriarch being 5 attack, you can even buff it up next turn, maybe with like a 4 Kel'Thuzad. No, you don't have the mana, but you're going to get Divine Shields on these 3/3 Silverhand recruits, and it's going to be it's a wide, sticky board that you can't just unleash Fell into because of all the Divine Shield, and you aren't getting lifesteal from those as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like getting the Divine Shield and the Light Ray is now more important, right? 'Cause you can play Blood Matriarch into the Kel'Thuzad into your one Light Ray you have in hand. basically disrupt them, not really able to go face with their hero at least. It's probably the best you can do.
Yeah. Especially since 2 light rays will be coming down next turn.
Yeah. Well, depending on whether or not you play the Leadrin. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Uh,
feel like the Leadrin is probably just it here, because you really want the Divine Shield to have it stick for an extra turn.
Also, giving divine shields to these light rays is especially important because they're fat, sinful brand targets. 5/5s with taunt. That's exactly where the rushers want to go into. Dropping the seal of blood, but can do nothing else. Maybe miscounting the mana, or maybe just
Digging
praying. Maybe thinking they need a miracle and need this to stick in some way.
Yeah.
Uh,
4/2/7
is that?
is 18 from hand. We have what else do we have actually?
Demon,
We have so far we have
demon.
not 14. 14 plus 4, 18 from hand. And then if we add one extra mana, we could Fell Barrage, but we can't. So we have 18 from hand, potentially 19 if we use Unleash Fell or Hero Power. And that's the best we can do here.
Yeah, you always sinful brand it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Just questions after that is the more complicated part.
Yeah. I honestly think it's just go, go, go,
Not going to play the coordinated strike. Wants to make sure this blood matriarch is dead. Does not want to leave it up for any swing turns.
Yeah.
Losing out on a little bit of damage. Boo hoo, says the demon hunter deck. Now Now sort of has to Hail Mary and slam everything on the board. I'm guessing that comes with these light rays and these Silverhand recruits.
Yeah.
Can,
Even
can
then,
you
though, knowing
even
what we know, it's just Bound Soul to get the your Silver Moon Arcanist and clear.
can you
And then
even
other resources, yeah?
play the Sanguine Soldier and deal 2 to your own face?
No, there's no way you do that. Like you're already at 2 level life total if you do that. It's just
Yeah.
you're digging your own grave. Alright, so I would assume the play from Geranium here is, as mentioned earlier, we go Silver Moon Arcanists into clear board with the Unleash and Fell Barrage. And we push one face with Hero Power and just hope that they don't get anything ridiculous from their Countess, if they have it, which, well, they do.
They can't even play the Invitations next turn.
Oh, true. I keep
Yeah.
forgetting they can cost 0.
Yeah.
Legendaries
The
that cost
Paladin has to play fair, unfortunately.
yeah, no mana cheat for you.
Well, a little bit of man cheat there. They get a tempo out a Blood Crusader if they are accepting their death. Oh, you can't even kill
Yeah.
yourself with the card.
Well, you can Sanguine. Yeah.
There we go.
And
Swelly
that's
finding lethal and Geranium, running the Demon Hunter deck, perfectly getting a 3-0 here, and I believe that locks up their weekly match as well with abusing PR management in
yeah,
an unreachable place.
yeah, that's 12-2. Odds are that there's not much to be done for the cult. Also, uh, I that's just crazy, The sweep from Geranium with Demon Hunter. Like I expected it, but it's just
It's
not
very
not
impressive.
good to see. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
impressive for sure, but it's not from meta standpoint, it's not it's definitely not good to see.
Yeah, so Swelly, uh, not bringing the big two of Demon Hunter or Rogue, bringing some very good meta decks. We don't know what that Mage was, but Mage has a number of good meta decks. It's just the tier ones. There's a decent gap between the tier ones and the tier twos right now. And Draining Battle made sure to show that off.
Definitely.
Hey, Dradium. How you doing?
Hey, man, I have missed the adrenaline rush that THL brings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm sure the adrenaline
I
rush
went in
double
thinking that I
sinful
was
for
super
him.
unfavored, and then left thinking that I just high rolled the crap out of that. I should not have won.
Listen, Geranium. I'm gonna have to say, in your own words, as you've said to me a few times before, if you win, it's you win. If you lose with RNG, it's a skill issue.
Ooh, didn't
So
think about it.
you won. Yeah, there was no skill issues on your end. It's just how it played out.
Curious what your other deck lists are.
But that being said, I mean, I do think that Swelly got me on the brings. Um, bringing full aggro. I really had to dig deep and look at a lot of lists to see what was even going to be competent. Because I mean, I dodged Evolve Shaman high roll, and I think that was the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't have to play versus any 10-10s that were cheated out for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think Jacques was
I was
was
curious about
asking.
your other lists. Yeah, were you planning on bringing like a Frost Death Knight behind there? I'm guessing the Hunter was Spitter. If you're willing to give any insight
Oh,
on those.
sorry, I don't think I can hear Jacques right now.
Oh, I apologize. Hello.
We can hear him.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
You can just pass my question along.
Yeah. Geranium, can you hear me at least?
I can hear you. I can hear Wild Nine and I can hear Righteous Jammies, but
That's so
that's
weird.
nice.
That's strange. Okay. We were wondering what your deck lists behind it, the Demon Hunter, were, if you could share. Uh, we assumed that the Death Knight was Frost, Hunter was Spitter, Rogue was Miracle, but we want to, I guess, just get concrete confirmation if possible.
I mean, I'm not gonna give full concrete information on my brings. I think being that it was full aggro, um, like Frost Death Knight is kind of a no-brainer. That's that's probably the long and short of it is at least Frost Death Knight. Yeah. Yeah, I brought Frost Death Knight.
Yeah.
Because that was favored into literally everything that he could have brought, basically. I think Big Spell Mage was the only possible counter that I could see. So that's why I just banned Mage.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Any questions from Jacques anymore? That I can pass along, or
I'm good here.
all right. I guess if I had to ask, well, not had to, but if I could ask a question, what do you what do you think of the meta? If we can get into that.
Well, you you saw Rogue and Demon Hunter on my side and not on his side, and you saw one of the two banned and the other one sweep. So that's what at least the pros are thinking about this meta, is that there's only two classes. Um, while I don't like entirely disagree, I think that there's a lot more play on both sides, sort of in the lower seeds. And I think that what Swelly was doing was very interesting and could have definitely worked had it just been a little less luck of the draw dependent, I think. So Is it a 2-class meta? Uh, yeah, maybe for some people, but not. I think not for me.
Gotcha. That's definitely an interesting take. If there's any other questions, of course, I'm gonna pass it over to Wild Nine or Jacques.
Well, any shout outs or anything? Take your win.
I mean, um, shout out to the rest of the team. Us working together has been really great, both this season and last season. And shout outs to Buse, who was able to e-sub and take a win, meaning that now this sort of clinches the win. I know it was very favored, but this definitely clinches it. And yeah, shout outs to anyone watching at home. I think I asked one of my IRL friends to watch the stream. So if you stuck around, that's awesome. And final shout out is of course to the casters, because without you, without the OP, without the casters, we would not get this content that I think is very fun to watch. So
All right. Thanks, Uranium. Thanks for having your match on stream too. It was good.
Definitely, it's definitely a welcome sight to have others, decide that they willingly want to, you know, show them their matches.
Yeah, get that adrenaline rush. All right. I know that we still tomorrow night we do have more matches coming. I'm on stream tomorrow night with Andy Rogers, so I know we're playing a match. There's one after us, too, I think. I should be more prepared.
Tomorrow's Sunday,
Let me
yeah.
look.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, yeah. Before me. So 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. We have a Hero Series match, last hero standing with Jolt C and You Kid and Me. And then Wild 9, will be playing Andy Rogers after that in Legacy Series at 9 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to tune in for some more matches, some good competitive and fun community-oriented Hearthstone, check us out tomorrow night starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. Any last thoughts, last words from our casters?
I mean, it's always a pleasure to be on stream. I don't do it often, but when I do, I always have a fun time. I appreciate everyone who's coming out, watching. And of course, if you watch a VOD, of course, like same thing as lurking. I appreciate that. Of course, the players who choose to be on stream, it's always incredible to see.
And this was my freshman cast, and I appreciate everyone who came in and helped out with the whole process on getting it done.
All right. Thanks so much. Have a good night, everyone.
I hear you got a problem.
You are not prepared. Another round. Why do you? You are not prepared. You are not.
This guy's toast.
Leroy! Not prepared!
Goodbye.